The purpose of this case study will be to understand the attitudes of learners engaged in a visual arts course that has been gamified with 5 traditional game mechanics and introductory animation classes at Trident Technical College. Attitudes will be observed throughout the course. Various focus groups will be implemented with group discussions in an online format and in person as well. There are many questions in the research of gamification, but the one I wanted to focus on was how do students enrolled in the gamified visual arts class at Trident Technical College perceive the course as they are going through it. The setting for this experiment will be at Trident Technical College. Trident Technical College is a 2-year technical college that awards certificates and associate's degrees. The total enrollment at Trident Technical College is just over 13,000 students. Within the animation program, there are 120 students in varying stages of the program. The animation program is one of the most advanced animation programs in South Carolina. Because Trident Technical College is less expensive than other 4-year colleges that teach the same material, many capable students attend the program at Trident Tech before going to a 4-year college. The students involved in the phenomenological research study will be indicative of a typical incoming animation cohort. The participants are primarily college aged between 18 and 23 years old, though there are a few that are between 24 and 30, as well as a few that are older than 30. Typically, there are equal numbers of male and female students, but this varies, as does enrollment at Trident Tech. The amount of students expected in this research study will be 20 students. There is always a transfer attrition in the enrollment. The amount of students that drop is around 10%. This is an appropriate sample of the student population in the animation program at Trident Technical College. This qualitative research study will try to understand the attitudes and opinions of the students as they go throughout the gamified course to see if the course is successful. Quantitative research is a good way to get measurements on the effectiveness of the course and gauge if it is successful on paper. However, it is also important to see the course through the eyes of the ones to whom the gamified course will be administered to. In other words, we have to see if it's a good game from the player's perspective. If students know they are part of the study, it might influence their behavior in regards to data collection, thus flawing the data that is to be collected. A degree of deception will help ensure that the researcher is not influencing the students. The students will be told that they are beta testing a system and that their honesty will help improve the product they are using. Since the students will not know that they are part of the study, a phenomenological research design will be conducted with myself acting as the lead instructor and chief observer. Phenomenological research, in which an inquiry coming from philosophy and psychology in order to describe the lived experiences of individuals about a phenomenon as described by participants. The plan is to make daily observations on how the class perceives the gamified course. Students will also record their thoughts in weekly online discussions. What they write in the discussions will be verified through group discussions at the beginning of class and in-person interviews as the course progresses. The data that will be collected throughout the study will be in a few different formats. The first format will be in the form of direct observation. The students will not know that I'm administering the class as a research study. I will be a complete observer in the class. I will format an electronic document where I can record my observations in real time, either on the computer or on a mobile device. Short focus group interviews will occur in real time in the first few minutes before every class, and will be integrated in the course as normal discussion before a class lecture. The course will be administered using the Desire to Learn learning management system. The course shell comes equipped with discussion forum functionality. I will create discussion questions that the students will answer and discuss with each other. These electronic documents are another type of data that data collected that will be cross-referenced with the observations and focus group to test the validity of the other data. The first thing to do is to make the study run is to gamify the existing course. Game designers will create the gamification systems involved in this experiment. The gamification portion will be embedded in the D2L course shell for Media Arts Production 190-001. This course runs for 8 weeks and is a first-year introductory level animation class. On the first day of class, students will be notified that they are beta testing a new kind of class that is relevant to their course of study, since the class also caters to students that desire to go into the game industry. I will tell them that we will be discussing progress throughout the course and that their honesty as far as participation and overall feeling of the system will make it better. They will be informed of the online discussions that will be part of the course. This class will run on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 11:30 to 2:45. The course is set up as a lecture lab course, meaning that there will be a lecture portion of the course that will be followed by a lab portion where the students practice what they have learned. Before the lecture, the class as a whole will basically be a focus group to talk about their thoughts on the gamification portion of the class and get their thoughts on it as they are going through it. When the lecture portion is finished, they will be directly observed as they go through the gamified course. During the lab portion of the course, students are encouraged to communicate with each other about the class or anything related to the subject material of the class. This is where the overall observation will take place. Students will openly discuss their thoughts with each other. It will be important to listen to what they are saying. This lab time is also an opportunity to go around to each student individually and ask him or her if they understand the material and casually ask them what they think of the gamified course. Comments on the daily focus groups will be recorded in dated electronic journal to get the overall impression of the class. Every student's name will be coded by number corresponding to where they appear in the class roster. Observations will be recorded in a specially formatted Word document that will be stored in Dropbox so that it can be accessed through and edited through any computer or any mobile device. The discussion forums will be handled through the learning management system. Everything that students write in these discussion forums is recorded and timestamped. These will be collated at the end of the course. The role that I will play is primarily as the lead instructor of the course. My primary objective is that students learn the material enough so that they have the capacity to pass the class and enter the role in the subsequent class in the animation program. By keeping that as my main objective, I will be sure that the research study does not interfere with student success. My secondary role in the course is as the research study designer, administrator, observer, and data collector. At first, it was my goal to develop the gamification aspects of the course and serve as a gamification designer. However, that situation could be perceived as biased because I would have to stake in the success of the course. Because of the possibility of that happening, I decided to ask the experts in the game industry to design the gamification for the course. Then they would be the ones to gain favorability if there was success in the course. That would free me from that burden, and then I could objectively record the data in the gamified course without the fear of the work that was done to gamify the course being a failure. The thoughts and feelings of the students that would be recorded would speak for itself without my opinion. Overall, there are a few pros and cons to both types of studies that I designed for this study and experiment. In the quantitative design, the pros are that the data collection will be simple because it will be handled through the school's learning management system, and there will be little chance of human error. In the D2L system, everything the student does is recorded. When a student logs in, I will be able to see when that student logged in. I would be able to see what they were looking at and how long they looked at it. This information will be very valuable in tabulating all kinds of data that could give us an idea of how engaged the students were in the gamified course versus the control group. The learning management system also records grades and whether students hand in their work. It also serves as a good platform to administer the gamified course to students. There are a few cons that would be apparent in the quantitative study. Primarily, we really would not get an idea of how the students really feel about the gamified elements of the course as they are going through it. Another con is that there has already been a lot of research on gamification, and any research that was done in the study would just add to the course of supporting gamification or questioning the viability of gamification. For the qualitative study, there are also some pros. The first is that it would be easy to really get an idea of how the students perceive the class as they are going through it. I would, in a sense, have a front row seat to record their observations at every turn. The second good thing about this qualitative study is that not many qualitative studies about gamification and education have been done, so this will be a fresh perspective to the conversation. Another pro about doing the qualitative study is there are a few ways to assess the attitudes of the students. The biggest con that I can see is that there is a wealth of data available that would really go unused. Also, with 20 students in the class, there's potential for the focus groups to become unmanageable, and quieter voices might not always be heard. The decision to go with a qualitative study has to do with what it said to me as I was reading about it and creating it. As an artist, data can be intimidating, and the idea of a qualitative study just seemed to fit more with how I teach. It really just made more sense to me, and it showed a human aspect that could not be ignored. Aligning the elements in the qualitative study was not very difficult because I tried to work with a lot of consistency. In each assignment, we had to include our purpose statement and our research question. Including these forced me to have continuity in what I had previously written and what I was going to write going forward. It was also helpful because it would serve as a review of what I had previously written. As a digital artist or graphic designer, it is important to be consistent in the work that you do. This also served to keep me on track as I went through each assignment. The other thing that I did was I designed my study as though I would conduct it today in the environment that I work in. That made it easier to keep things in order so the elements would be in the correct alignment. I would have to say that in reflecting on the instructor's feedback that it was extremely helpful. As I was going through the reading, I felt that I understood the material, but it wasn't until Professor Liu looked at my work and I really understood the nuances of what the book was trying to express. In fact, I would say that I learned more from the instructor's feedback because it directly related to what I was working on. Also, having the opportunity to resubmit my work once the corrections were in place was helpful because I could put the feedback that Professor Liu mentioned into practice. In fact, it might be a good thing in the future if students were required to resubmit work so that they could help them understand the material better. I believe that this working process has been very beneficial to my research work. I feel that I have an idea of what I am supposed to do and how I can do it. The other thing is that the research I did in this course was in line with the research that I want to pursue going forward. I feel this has given me a boost to my future work.